Okay, so I know a lot of you get lost when it comes to Git, and that's totally understandable because Git is confusing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a series, or at least one recorded lecture on the entire Git workflow from beginning to end. Uh, so I'm just going to clear this. I'm going to start off from where you guys start off. So actually, let me start from the very beginning. Okay. First thing you need to do is open up your terminal. So you go to your Spotlight, Terminal, Enter, and it pops open. Now yours may look a little different. You can actually customize the way it looks by going to Preferences, and then you can choose these different themes. So it's pretty cool. In order for a theme to show up, you might need to actually close it and then open it again. But when you do, it actually looks really cool. So let's see if I wanted this random one. Um, so I'm going to choose this one and close. Oh, that didn't work. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there we go. So switch it to default. Now, if I open a new one, there we go. So now it looks completely different, right? And then if I just want to go back, switch that to default and create a new shell again, then it shows up like that. And I made my opacity less so I could see through it. Let's see, what did I do to do that? Did it come standard like that? I don't remember what I did to do that. Or it might come standard. Hmm. Anyway, so if you want to mess around, you're more than welcome to mess around over here. This is where you can mess around with the different way it looks and whatnot. Alright, so I'm going to increase the size of it, so Command plus 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 plus. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to show you what it looks like to go through terminal commands and then through Git commands. So terminal commands are different from Git commands. Terminal commands are just for the terminal. Git commands are just for using Git. So first we're going to use ls to see where we are. Or not where we are, but what's inside of our project. To check where we are, it's pwd, present working directory, and we're in users Omar Patel. So we are in here. So this is the same thing. And if I want to ls, now it shows me everything in here and should look similar to this, right? Looks very similar. This is organized a different way. Oh, actually, it's organized the same way. Okay, so we have all these different ones in here, just like we have it in here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create a new directory. Well, actually, I want to show you guys how to do it if I wanted to go into another directory. A lot of you guys tend to put it in a desktop, tend to put it somewhere else. So I'm going to create mine under desktop. So notice that desktop's right over here. So it's inside this. So I just go cd, des, and then I just hit tab, hit tab, and it auto-completes it for me. Then hit ls, or just hit pwd. To show where I am, and then hit ls, and I only have a couple of things inside my desktop. I know some of you guys have this giant repository of everything. We're not going to do that, or at least I don't have that. You guys can have as many things in your desktop as you want. I prefer less clutter, so it's probably good to have less clutter. Anyway, so far we've gone through 3 different commands for Unix. So these are just Unix terminal commands. So cd, ls, and pwd, right? So now we're inside desktop. So I could either do that here. So if I did that through here, I would be inside here. So this is where I'm at. Now to create a new folder, I can just go right-click New Folder, or I can go in here and type in mkdir, and then I put like, I don't know, let's say the project is Earth. Let's do space laser site. That just sounds kind of cool, so I'm just going to do that. And notice that when I create the folder, And again, a folder is the same thing as a directory. They're just interchangeable. When I did that, it actually shows up right here. So it's the same thing as me typing in mkdir and then the name of the folder, or me going right here, hitting new folder, and then creating it that way. All right, so next, I'm going to cd into that folder. So I could hit cd. Well, actually, let's first check to make sure we're not in it. So we hit pwd, and we're still inside desktop, right? So we're still here. To go inside the folder in Finder, you just, double click that, and now you're inside it. And here, now I'm inside space laser site. So to do that in here, you'd hit cd space laser site. So I just hit tab to autocomplete, enter, and pwd, and we're inside space laser site. So this is how you do it in Finder. This is how you do it in Terminal. All right. So now I'm going to create a file. So I could do that a couple different ways. If I didn't want to use a terminal to create a file, then what I could do is go to Sublime Text. Let's hit Command S to save, and let's create an index.html file. And I'm going to save that all the way into, let's see, where were we? Desktop, space laser site, here. Okay. And I'm just going to hit HTML command tab. Well, tab. That should have completed everything for me. Why is it not? Huh. That's weird. Okay. So I'm just going to create the basics. So head. This is just the basic HTML file. Let's do body. Okay. So we have that file and we have it saved in here, right? Because we hit Command S and we told it to save in there. Now I'm going to show you a different way of saving a file. So creating and saving it somewhere. So instead of that, I could just go to using this command called touch. So I hit touch and I can create a CSS file. So let's just create style.css. And look at that. Now I have a CSS file. Easy as that. Okay, so next what I want to do is I want to start tracking these files using Git. Again, you only want to initialize a Git repository when you're definitely for sure inside of your project. So we're inside of our project. We know that we hit pwd. We're inside space laser site. If I cd space dot dot, that means if I go here, that means I will be creating a Git repository in my desktop, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to cd back into space laser site, and I want to make sure I'm in here. I'm for sure in here. Okay, so now I'm going to start using Git. So Git commands are different than Unix terminal commands. You've noticed that Unix terminal commands allow you to navigate and do a lot of different things, but they don't have anything to do with Git. Now we're going to start using Git commands. Okay, so we're typing in Git init to start using Git, and look at that. Initializes an empty Git repository. So right now, this is invisible. I have my Finder settings set to show all hidden files. So you guys probably won't be able to see this. But when I type that in, this actually creates this invisible repository, right? So it's just a directory with a bunch of different stuff. I'm just calling it repository just to differentiate the Git stuff from the rest of the stuff. Cool? So now we have our Git repository. It's located inside of our project. So now I'm going to hit Git status to see what's going on. And look at that. It says on branch master, initial commit, untracked file. So this is the first thing that happens whenever you type Git status and you haven't staged or committed changes. It's going to show you untracked files. That means files that have not been staged or committed. Again, that's just files that haven't been staged or committed. So in order to commit them, we first have to do a soft save, which is Git stage. So to stage that, we type in git add dash capital A, and that'll add everything to staging. And it doesn't give you any feedback back. Let's see. If I hit git status though, it tells you, hey, changes to be committed. That means these changes need to be hard saved now, right? So to hard save them, we hit git commit dash M, which is the message that we're going to do. And the message is just for you and others to see what was happening when you did a save. Now, this commit is actually really cool. When you do a commit, this is what version control is about. You can actually go back to this commit, this point in the project when you made these saves. So you can go to this point at any point, like in the future, if you wanted to go back to the point of your project where it only had these changes in it, you can go back to that point. And you can keep switching back and forth. So you can go back to different versions of your whole project. It's the same thing as if you made changes, saved them, and then, then just created a new copy of your project, your entire project. But it does it in an efficient way and in a way that you can share with other people. So it's really cool. So version control is really cool. What I'm going to do is then git commit this. So I'm going to say, okay, added an index file and a style sheet. That's what I did, right? So I did that commit. It says all this gobbledygook, but essentially this is the commit. It says 3 files changed. This DS store is invisible. Don't worry about that. That's a Mac thing. Index.html and style.css added. All right, now if I git status, on branch master. I don't know what master means, but master is a branch that you're on right now. So you have nothing to commit, and working directory is clean. Okay. So we've committed it inside of our project. So we can type in git log, and it shows us all the commits. And we can go back to it in here, and that's fine and dandy if we're not sharing it with anyone. But let's say that we want to share our Git repository with other people. We want to share these changes with, our project team, which is generally what you're going to be doing. You're going to be working with the project team. So to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to Chrome or whatever other browser you use. Go to github.com. You're going to sign up for GitHub. So hopefully you guys have done that already. And then you're going to go to this little thing over here that says new repository, or up here. We're going to create a new repository. And I'm going to name it the same thing. So space laser. What the hell was it called? Space laser something? Site. And I'm just going to hit create repository. And then it's going to give me all this. Okay, so it's going to say quick setup. If you've done this kind of thing before, you can do this. Or you can create a new repository on the command line, right? And we don't need to do this because we've actually already done this in our project, right? So we only need to push an existing repository from the command line. So we have an existing one, right? We have this existing repository, and we want to push it up to this GitHub repository. Now, GitHub is where it's essentially the same thing as Dropbox and Google Drive, except for Git repositories. You can upload, download Git repositories, and store them here. So it's a storage space. And again, if you use Dropbox and Google Drive, the exact same thing, just in a different way. And in order to connect to it, it tells you just need to copy this. So this line right here. So you're going to add this remote. Okay? And this line over here, this whole thing, is just the URL to your Git repository. Okay? So you're just connecting to it. You're trying to connect your local repository here to this Git repository that exists here. So you're trying to connect these two. So to connect these two, you just paste that in, hit enter, and to check to make sure that it exists, type in git remote -v, and that'll give you all the remotes that exist. So it's here. The name of it is origin. The URL is here. Cool. All right, now we're going to push this up. So we just copy, paste, and now we're up here. Okay, so now it's pushed up. Everything's good to go. Now if we refresh this, wow, look at that. So now these two are up to date. Cool. So now we have a Git repository on a local machine, and we have it on GitHub. All right, so now we're going to get into branching. So branching is a little complicated, but I'm going to walk you through it. So right now you guys were all on a branch called master. And you can see that when you did our last command called git push. Don't worry about the dash u, we're not going to be doing that anymore. Origin and then master. So pushing means that we're uploading our code up to GitHub or to wherever we want it to. Right now, our remote is called Origin, which pushes up to GitHub, but this could actually be pushing it to whatever remote machine you want. So right now, we're pushing it up to GitHub. And the branch we've been using so far is master. That's our default branch. So to check what branch we're on, we can type git branch. And it shows that we have a branch called master. And it shows this asterisk next to it and a green highlight of the word. I really need water. All right, so we've been working on this branch called master this whole time. Now, the thing about master is you always want it to be good. This is your master copy. You want everything to be nice in here. You don't want to mess up anything. So, excuse me. In order for you to work and make changes, it's generally preferred, especially when you're working with a group, to instead create another branch where you make all those changes and then you push that branch up for other people to look at, and then they merge those changes into the master branch on GitHub. And you're probably wondering what the hell does all that mean? So I'm going to show you instead. So first we're going to create a branch. So I'm going to create a branch and we're going to name it, let's say we're going to make some CSS changes or some HTML changes. So we're going to call it HTML changes. So we hit git branch HTML changes, hit enter. Now we type in git branch to see what branches we have. And we're still on master, but we have a branch called HTML changes. Now what this did was whatever branch you're on, it makes an exact copy of that branch and with the name that you gave it. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out that branch. So we're going to hit git checkout and then HTML underscore changes. And now it says switch to branch HTML changes. To make sure that we actually did switch to it, we're going to type in git branch. And look at that. So now we're on HTML changes. There's an asterisk next to it and HTML changes. So let's go ahead and make some HTML changes. So I'm going to write, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. I think it's capitalized. Okay. Alright, so I made some HTML changes. Technically, this fulfills it. So I'm going to type in git status, and look at that. It tells me I modified my index.html. It's kind of creepy. It just knows what's happening in my project the whole time because Git is cool like that. So these are changes not staged for commit. These are untracked changes. So what I need to do is stage and commit them because I want to push these changes up to GitHub. So what I want to do is type in git add -a, and this will stage my changes. So now I hit git status, and look at that. Now it says changes to be committed. So again, we're going through the same process we did before. So now I want to push these changes up, but in order to do that, I have to commit them, right? So I'm going to do git commit -m, and then put whatever message. So added a single line of nonsense HTML. And that's what I did. And now if I hit git status, it says on branch HTML changes, nothing to commit, working directory clean. That means I haven't made any other changes and I'm good to start pushing up and pulling. So again, I'm going to check what branch I'm on. I'm on HTML changes. So this time I'm going to do git push origin and I'm going to type in HTML underscore changes. So before we pushed up our branch called master, and now I'm going to push this branch up. So let's see what happens. Okay, so this has been pushed up. So let's go over here and hit refresh. And it also tells you already that there's a new pushed up branch. So what we're going to do is, instead of going here, I'm going to show you guys another way. Just do new pull request. And I want to be able to assign someone a pull request. Now, a pull request is just a way of saying, hey, someone check my changes. And then if they look good, then merge them into master. Because our end goal is to always merge our changes into master. any changes that are made that are tested that look good, they should be in master because that's our branch that's actually going to be on our live site, right? All the other changes and all the other branches, they are not in our live site. They're ready to be put into our live site once they're tested and someone approves them, but they're not yet. So we're comparing our base, which is master, which is what we're going to be merging our changes into. And we're comparing that against our other branch called HTML changes. And I'm just going to say, okay, this is the title of my pull request, added a single line of nonsense HTML. And then over here, you go to assignee and you can assign someone. So I'm just going to assign myself because I'm the only one on this project. But if you had other people working on this project, like you added them as a collaborator when you went to settings. So let's say you go to settings, added collaborators, and then it's asking me to put in my password. I don't remember my password, do I? Yeah, I have no idea what my password is. Or do I? All right, I do. All right, so you can search collaborators by username, full name, or email address, and then just add them. So if I just type in like random stuff, then it just comes up with random usernames. So you can add them. And then this gives them different capacities in your project. So it allows them to do different things. So now I'm going to go back to pull requests. So it's right over here. It's a little tab. So I went to it. I'm going to click on this. And again, I'm just assigning myself because I don't have anyone else to assign. I'm all by myself. Celine Dion. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at the changes. So, what are the files changed? And it shows this little plus next to the changes I made. So I just added this one line. So if someone who's looking at a pull request and you're the assignee, this is what you do. You just look over here, say, oh, okay, these are the changes you made. Okay, looks good to go. Go back to the conversation, right? Looks good to go. And then hit comment. And then merge pull request. Now, if they have issues, then you can comment and write, no, needs changes. So then you could say like, okay, no, this needs changes. So then they'll have to go back to their branch, make the relevant changes. So let's say this needed changes. So I put, no, this needs changes. And I just delete this other one. So then the person making the pull request is like, oh, okay. So, you could list what changes. Say, this actually needs to be more descriptive. Who is Barbie? Okay, so I'm going to go back to my code and be like, oh, yeah, that's true, huh? And not only that, but this isn't capitalized either. So description of Barbie. Barbie is plastic. It's fantastic. Okay? And that should be enough of a description based on the song. So let's see, hit git status again. Okay, so now we're just going to go through the same process. Git commit -m. You can use double quotes or you can use single quotes. It doesn't matter. And we're going to do added description of Barbie. And I'm going to do git push origin. And again, HTML changes. And if you refresh, you don't even have to refresh this actually. It sees this change over here. So let's see. One changed file. Oh, refresh. There we go. And look at that. Now the change is here. So now we can say okay, looks good. Come on, Barbie. Let's go party. That guy was really creepy. Okay. So now we're going to hit merge pull request because we're good to go. There's no conflicts with the base branch. That means we can merge it just by clicking merge. Confirm merge. And now all the changes that were inside this branch are now inside of our branch called master. So let's check that out. So let's go back to our code. And if we look at our master branch in our index.html file, it has all the changes that we made. So now we don't actually need this branch anymore, this other branch called HTML changes. So what we're going to do is go to our code. Let's see, can I just delete it from here? Forgot how to delete it from here. Branches. I'll have to look that up. I totally forgot how to delete branches just from here. Anyway, so what you're going to do is delete this branch, and eventually I'll upload something that allows you to delete this branch from GitHub. But let's say that you're someone else. You are part of a team, and you want to download those changes. To do that, you'd have to do git checkout master to make sure you're on master. And let's just check to make sure. And now we're going to pull those changes. So we do git pull origin master. And look at that. It says all these changes. Fast forward index.html 2++. So we got 2 changes. So we type in. Oh, we don't have to actually type in anything. Let's just go to our thing. And we have these changes now in our master branch. So now, if our master branch and our HTML changes branch are the same, we don't need our HTML changes branch anymore. We've already merged all the changes. Everything's good to go. So now we can delete that copy of our branch. So we just hit git branch -d HTML underscore changes. And now we deleted branch called HTML changes. So just to make sure, git branch. Now, anytime you want to make changes again, be sure to create another branch with the changes you want to make. Like if you're making a broad series of changes, like HTML, CSS, JS changes, let's say all of that. Again, we go through the same process. We check that out. And now we're inside of it. And we just make sure that we're inside that branch. And now we can start making changes again. And we go through that process to push up and pull the changes. So that's the whole process for Git. Hopefully this resolves some issues. If you guys still have questions, of course you guys can email me. But that is the Git workflow. So now you can just push, pull changes, stage, commit, all that. This should resolve anything though when it comes to Git. If I missed anything, please let me know. If not, happy coding and hope you enjoyed my random conversations about Barbie. All right, take care.